Cleopatra's servant reincarnation. 30 BCE, the loyal handmaiden of Egypt. The golden sun bathed Alexandria's palace in its final light. Inside, Nefret, a devoted handmaiden, carefully adjusted the golden collar around Queen Cleopatra VII's neck. She had been by the queen's side since childhood, knowing her not just as a ruler, but as a woman who carried the weight of an empire on her shoulders. Cleopatra sighed, gazing at the distant Nile. The Romans, led by Octavian, were closing in. Egypt's fate was sealed. Nefret kneeled before her queen. "You will always be Egypt's true ruler, no matter what happens," she vowed. Cleopatra placed a hand on Nefret's shoulder. "If there is another life, promise me, we will find each other again." "I swear it," Nefret whispered, sealing a promise that would defy time itself. A night of fate and the fall of Egypt. That night, Nefret had a dream, a vision of a distant future where people dressed strangely, walking in cities unlike anything she knew. It was as if the gods were whispering secrets of another time. But before she could understand, the palace shook with the arrival of Roman soldiers. Panic filled the corridors. Nefret fled, her heart pounding. As she turned one last time toward Cleopatra's chamber, a vision flashed before her, a pair of familiar eyes, centuries away, waiting to be found again. Then darkness. London, 2024, the rebirth in a new world. Over 2,000 years later, in a different world, Nina Carter, a historian in London, had been haunted by dreams of golden palaces, moonlit waters, and a queen's sorrowful eyes since childhood. She always felt drawn to ancient Egypt, dedicating her life to studying it. But what truly unsettled her were the vivid flashes, memories of a life she had never lived. While curating a new Egyptian exhibit at the British Museum, Nina's fingers brushed against an ancient golden bracelet engraved with hieroglyphs. Suddenly, a rush of images flooded her mind. 30 BCE. She was Nefret, weaving Cleopatra's hair, while the queen spoke of her love for Egypt. A secret passage beneath the palace, where she once hid scrolls of knowledge, now lost to time. A moonlit river, where Cleopatra whispered the prophecy of their souls meeting again. Nina stumbled back, gasping. The memories weren't just dreams. They were real. Egypt, 2024, Visions of the Past. Determined to uncover the truth, Nina traveled to Cairo, Egypt. As she walked through the ruins of Cleopatra's lost palace, she felt a strange pull. One night, while visiting an archaeological site near Alexandria, she touched the remains of an ancient mirror, a relic believed to belong to Cleopatra herself. Another vision struck her. 30 BCE. The queen's final hours. Cleopatra, draped in royal robes, turned to Nefret. "This world may take my crown, but it cannot take my legacy." Nina jolted awake, breathing heavily. The visions were becoming clearer. But why now? Was it because she was getting closer to someone she was meant to find? A fateful encounter, finding the queen again. At a historical conference in Alexandria, Nina's attention was drawn to a woman passionately speaking about Cleopatra's final days. Her presence was magnetic. When their eyes met, Nina felt an unexplainable pull, as if she had known this woman for lifetimes. Her name was Lena Sakaf, a historian dedicated to uncovering Egypt's lost history. As they spoke, their connection deepened. "I've always felt as if I belonged to another time," Lena admitted. "Like something unfinished is waiting for me." Nina's heart pounded. Could it be? The unbroken bond, a new destiny. One evening, as they stood by the Nile under a full moon, Lena turned to Nina and said softly, "It feels like I've known you before." Tears welled in Nina's eyes. She whispered, "Because you have." Though they were no longer queen and servant, their souls had found each other again, just as they had promised. Instead of serving Cleopatra, Nina now had a new mission: to help preserve Egypt's history. Together, she and Lena dedicated their lives to ensuring that Cleopatra's story and the lost voices of the past would never be forgotten. The past had come full circle. Their promise had been fulfilled. Some promises never die. Across centuries, through lifetimes unknown, some souls are destined to meet again. Nefret had kept her vow, and Cleopatra's spirit had returned, not as ruler and servant, but as two souls reunited beyond time itself.